Hey, it's Jack. Welcome to Generation Geek. Today I want to talk about the difference between collecting comics and investing in comics. For me, collecting comics is all about having the comic book, right? Being able to thumb through it, to read it, to have those original editions, the actual comic books themselves. Investing in comics is buying comics specifically that are going to go up in value. Now, there's nothing wrong with either approach. For me, I prefer collecting. That's just the way I like to do things. Comic books can be a great investment, right? There are some comic books that are worth well over $1 million. Let's talk about the differences in preservation, right? Now, oftentimes you buy a comic book, it's not going to have any value down the line. So you just take it, you read it, you throw it in a pile. It's not a big deal. If you want to keep your comic book safe and protected, there's a couple of things that you can do. The first thing, the easiest thing, is what we call bag and board, right? Let me grab a different one here that we can bag and board. There we go. Right. What you want to do is you want to take your comic book, right? Here's your comic book. This one happens to be Batman Black and White #1, and it happens to be signed by J.H. Williams, someplace in here. Yeah, right. You can kind of see the signature there. And what we do is we get a bag, right? Now there's several different kinds of bags that you can buy. Some are just regular plastic, some are archival or acid-free to protect the pages. And you get a board, right? And that keeps it steady, right? So that it doesn't get bent. And you put the board in the bag, you put the comic book on top, and you put it on your shelf. Nothing's going to happen to it at that point. If you're buying something for an investment, if the idea of actually reading the comic doesn't matter to you as much as just owning it. Let's say you pick up a copy of Amazing Fantasy #15, which is the first appearance of Spider-Man, and you have it. It's great, but you don't need to read it. You want to keep it protected because it's an incredibly valuable piece. At that point, what you can do is what's called slabbing. Now, I don't have anything slabbed to show you, but I'm sure we can give you a little illustration here. But what slabbing is taking a kind of a clamshell piece of plastic and sealing the comic book inside. But you can't do it yourself. You actually have to send the comic to a company that does it. There's two companies that slab things. And what they'll do is they will actually rate the comic, right? From anywhere from 0.5, I think, to 10.0. Right, 10.0 being something that's right off the printing press, that's never been touched by human hands, and 0.5 is something that's been in the hands of your kid brother who kind of put a mustache on Clark Kent, and they'll give it that kind of a rating, and then they'll seal it inside the plastic so that nobody can get at it, and it will have that seal, so that anybody that you show it to knows that it's been judged at that particular rating level. And that will also hold its value, right? Nothing is ever going to happen to it. But again, the downside is you can't read it. You can't just take it out of the plastic and go, this is really cool, right? You can't sit with your morning coffee and thumb through the comic book, right? It's great for investments, absolutely. But for me, I like to read them. I like to hold it in my hand. And even if it's something like Amazing Fantasy #15, which I don't own. If anybody has one that they don't want and they want to send it, please feel free. But just holding something that is at this point 60 years old and seeing that first appearance of Spider-Man and kind of experiencing that, I don't know, that awe at that character coming to life on the page, drawn by Steve Ditko and written by Stan Lee, to me is what comic books are all about, right? It's all about actually reading it. It's opening it up. It's going back. I mean, this one came out. I'd have to look. Here, let's take a look. When did Ghost Rider number 18 come out? So cover date on this one is 1976, June of 1976, which means it probably came out in March or so of that same year. Part of the fun is looking at these old pages, right? You know, and yeah, you can read the art, you can read the stories in other collections, but it's fun to look. It's fun to see the ads. Right? The ads that existed at the time. Right? And here's the letters page. Sometimes you can find letters and stuff from people who later on became comic book professionals, which is really exciting. There's a whole series back in the 70s of superheroes and Hostess products. Right? So here's Spider-Man saving Hostess Twinkies. Right? That's stuff that you don't get when you get the collected editions. They don't give you those ads. They don't give you that kind of sense of the time that it happened. And you certainly don't get that if you've slabbed the comic, because you can't open it. You can't read it. You got to keep it pristine in the plastic. So as I say, right, there's a couple of things that you can do to protect your comics without encasing them in plastic, or you can encase them in plastic. Neither one is right. Neither one is wrong. It's whatever your personal preference is, right? But like I said, for me, I think it's the difference between being a collector and being an investor. Me, I'm a collector. If you want to learn more about collecting, we've done a video about it up here.
Raise the finger like this, huh?
If you want to learn more, about collecting, however, we've done a video about it here. Thank you for tuning into Generation Geek. Please do the like and subscribe thing. If you have any questions, ask them down below. We're happy to answer them. We're here for all your comic book and geeky needs. Stay tuned.